this is Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy for the Independent.com. And once again, we've taken End Zone on the line, End Zone online down the road. We're in downtown Doniphan, Nebraska, at Doniphan-Trumbull High School. I kind of like the way that sounded. And we're with head coach Clint Head of the Doniphan-Trumbull Cardinals. Coach, welcome. How are you?
Good.
We're going to talk a little bit about you today. How about that?
Okay.
And we're going to touch on your football team a little bit, and I know you don't want to give any secrets away with the playoffs coming up.
Sure.
But I'm confused at where you went to high school. I don't think you're a Nebraska boy, are you?
No, Southwest Iowa.
Southwest Iowa. Did you go to Farragut High School or not?
Yeah, I graduated. Okay. I went to Southwest Iowa High School. It's Farragut High School.
Okay.
It's no longer there anymore. They're consolidated. So
Boy,
now
Iowa were really into that before we were, weren't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Big time.
So, in high school, I'm assuming you were an all-state football player because probably were. And what class was that?
We'd have been in Nebraska. To compare Nebraska, it would have been C2.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Similar size.
And did you have any coaching aspirations? Most people say no in high school because they're just enjoying the experience.
When I came, I just always wanted to play. Enjoyed playing. Enjoyed the work that we got out of it. Had a high school football coach. After my first couple of years, about my sophomore year, we had a high school football coach come in and completely turned our football program around and brought a strength and conditioning program to us and really jumped in on that. And he was actually from Nebraska. Dan Parks was his name.
Oh, yeah. Did he coach?
He was at Thedford, and then...
Did he coach in the southeastern part of the state?
Yep, and then he coached down in the southeastern part of the state. And so he was my high school football coach for my sophomore through my senior year, and really, inspired me to get into playing football, lifting weights, and that's where I really started with football. That was big for me.
Was the weight program not prevalent there?
We didn't have one at all, and he brought it with him.
Of course, that's in late 90s.
Yeah, it would have been mid-90s. Yep.
Mid-90s.
And we didn't have one, and he really brought football to that town and changed it. We hadn't had a winning season. I think they had just had a winning season, and then we hadn't had one in like 18 years before that. And he changed the whole program around. And in about 3 years, my senior year, we ended up 7-2, and were rated third in the state. We didn't make the playoffs because we didn't win the district. But he had changed the whole town and the football program, and had done something that was just absolutely fantastic. And when I was done, I decided I wanted to, that was kind of the road I wanted to go down. So.
Well, that guy left his mark. I'm trying to remember where he coached. I thought it was Lewiston when they had a passing attack down in the southeastern part of the state, but I'm not sure. But were you highly recruited as a senior in high school to go to college and play football?
There were some mid-level schools. Northwest Missouri State at that time was trying to turn their program around. Mel Churchman had just come in there. And they were doing some things, and I took a trip to Nebraska to walk on. They asked me to walk on South Dakota State, and then South Dakota State, and then Simpson College.
Tell me about that. Tell me about your career at Simpson.
It was fun. It was great.
You wait till you hear this, Zach.
I had a chance. Yeah, I had a chance to play for a guy named Jim Williams, who had been an assistant head coach at Iowa State, and is probably one of the best offensive line coaches around, and is revered and has a lot of connections still to this day in the NFL and at the Division I level with a lot of head coaches. Mac Brown is one of his best friends.
Wow.
And so I got to play for him, and it was one of the most tremendous experiences I ever had. He had come to Simpson College after he left Iowa State, and basically had done the same thing. That was the real selling point for me, as I'd been in a high school program that got turned around. He had come to Simpson in 1988 and turned that football program around and made them into conference champs. And I wanted to go play for somebody like that. And and so I was really fortunate when I got to Simpson. They'd had some pretty good years, and had kind of went back into some 5-5 seasons. And when we got there, I came in with a really good recruiting class, and we put it together, and we were fortunate enough to win. We had 20-game winning streak in the conference, and back-to-back conference champions, and went to the playoffs a couple times, and we made it to the national semifinals. We were one game away from playing in the national title. We got beat by Mount Union in the semis. And,
their program just...
They're okay. Yeah, they were okay. They won a lot of games.
Wow. So you were that had to make you the football player you were, because coming in in that high school thing, a guy turning a program around, and then in college both. And you were a 2-time All-American, is that correct?
Yeah, with that, they had a lot of guys around us that help you be that. You know, when you have great running backs and you have other offensive linemen that are really good, and
Wow.
you win games, people are going to get accolades. So
Well,
it's a lot that goes into that.
Well, it's true, but now at the college level, did your coaching aspirations ever surface?
Not till I was done playing.
Wow.
When I found out I was done playing, I was like, my body isn't going to handle this anymore, and really I ran out of roads that I could keep playing football, and so I decided, where do I go next? I don't want to be done with football, and so the next logical thing was to start coaching.
So what was your major?
I was actually sports administration with
Okay.
a management minor,
Cool.
and then I had to go back and actually get my education degree later.
That's
on.
what I thought.
So-
Wow. So that was a choice that required some extra schooling, which was, you know,
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So where was your first coaching gig back at your old high school?
Yeah, I graduated from Simpson in '98. The first time, everybody laughs because when you go to college for 6 years, you should be a doctor.
Well,
or something, but-
I looked at that.
Right,
I thought he
so-
had to go back and get
Yeah.
a degree. You know?
So I got hired at Farragut High School, and I actually worked at Clarendon Academy as a juvenile detention center. So I worked there and went back and was the head high school football coach and boys track coach at Farragut High School. And so I cut my teeth coaching there. They offered me a job and
Cool.
got to coach there for 2 years. They went 8-man the year after I left and went to the state finals. So it was really neat, you know.
Yeah.
And but I got 2 really good seasons in with a bunch of great kids, and got to coach my brother.
What a thrill.
So yeah,
What
so
a
it was
thrill.
fun. I got to coach my brother, and then decided I wanted to, you know, I needed to get a teaching degree so I could be in the school and coach and teach at the same school. And Coach Williams was still at Simpson and asked me, you know, I told him what I wanted to do, and he told me to come back and be a coach, which is equivalent to being like a graduate assistant at some of these places at the Division III level. And so I went back to Simpson, and they pulled me in, and I just jumped into the football program the best I could, and
Wow.
did everything I could, and took classes, and got my education degree. And Coach Williams, after a season, had moved on, and I was fortunate enough to get hired on full time at Simpson.
And you
So,
stayed there how long?
I was there 5 seasons.
Okay.
So
And did you jump there to Hastings?
yeah, after the 5 seasons, I was kind of looking to move up, and I'd been there as strength conditioning coach for about 3 programs: the volleyball program, the football program, and wrestling. And I was helping with the Gold Club, which is a booster club. We started that when I was at Simpson. I was helping found that program.
A lot of
so,
work.
and it was great though. It
Good.
was fun.
Good.
And recruiting coordinator and coaching the offensive line, and Hastings was a jump up for me. I had a chance to be an offensive coordinator at the college level. And I'd always had aspirations doing that. I mean, Simpson's always going to be home to me.
Well, sure.
I mean, if you did you ever just, I love that place. It's a great small school in a great town with really good people, and you get a fantastic education there. But when I saw that, you know, the Hastings College job was very, very similar, you know, as far as atmosphere.
Sure.
And
Small
you were
yeah.
a small school, and they'd had a ton of success, and you start to get to recruit with athletic scholarship money, and that kind of motivates you as a coach when you want to compete. I can go get some different athletes, and when I saw they had that job open, I came out and interviewed with Coach Merkowitz and got offered the job, and we accepted on the spot. So
Cool.
yeah, it was a really good transition and a lot of fun.
How do you like Nebraska? I mean, as far as central Nebraska compared to Iowa, is it about the same thing?
It's really great. When we came out here, didn't really know what to expect or how it was going to be, but it reminds me a lot of Southwest Iowa when I was growing up. The
Nice
people
mold.
are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, same,
You know,
same mold, I think.
it really is. The people are great. You know, you get to know small communities and small towns, and that's how I want my kids to grow up, is in that atmosphere, and they love being out here.
Cool.
I mean, the people in Doniphan, not just Doniphan, but the people in Hastings. I mean, there's good people. You know,
Well,
you
still
always feel
Grand Island.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And Grand Island,
Seems like a
all
small
around.
town, but
Yep,
anyway.
it does.
What possessed you, and a lot of guys have done it, to go from the college ranks to the high school ranks?
I did just, you know, college football is it's very time consuming.
Boy, I will say.
You start, you know, you basically start August 1st, and you're still looking at December 24th, probably rolling out of the office to go home,
Yeah.
and you really haven't had a break. And it's 24 hours, you know, it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Even when you're not, or you have a bye week, everybody thinks, oh, he's got a bye week, they got the weekend off. That's really not how it is. You're on the road recruiting.
Yeah.
And when you're not recruiting, you're breaking game film, or you're trying to, even if you're in the off season, if you're not recruiting, you're getting ready for spring ball, or you're in spring ball, or you're out finding new things, about football that you didn't know, or you're going to a clinic, or you're calling coaches and doing that. So you're always gone. The hours are tremendous, and to try to have a family. When we had our second daughter, Sydney, it was one of those deals. I just kind of had to make a decision. Where was I going to be at? I had missed some things with my oldest daughter, and I just decided, either I'm gonna, I needed to make a decision about what I'm going to do here. So family came first when we made that decision, and my wife has a great job in Hastings. She works at a pediatric clinic, and we just absolutely love it. And I just decided, honey, it's time, and she was really happy with that decision too.
I bet she was. There comes a time, and usually it is with the second child.
Yeah.
And when the one gets old enough and you start missing things, you don't get those back.
Right.
They can't redshirt. They're not going to do it for you.
Right.
So anyway, what's the basic difference, and this is going to sound really unintelligent, coaching college kids compared to high school kids and the enthusiasm level? What's the main difference?
Just,
other than learning,
right, there's
here.
a base knowledge and those kind of things. Sometimes in high school, kids go out for the sport because their friends go out for the sport. At the college level, even in football. And at the college level, those kids are there because they want to be there all the time, and they're trying to, soak everything up like a sponge all the time because of the hours they put in. They put in so many hours at the college level. Those guys are, I hate to say it this way, it sounds bad, but it really isn't. They're there because they want to be there, and they're there because they're your program and they know it, and so they're locked in. They're your guys, and you're around them all the time, and they're going to do everything that they can. They're yours, and they feel that way. And here you're going to split between several different sports. And whenever our run is over this year, hopefully it's not for a while. Hopefully it's a few more weeks. But whenever our run's over, these kids are all going to go play other sports. And so you kind of lose that, and they're gone, and they're going to concentrate on other things, and that's great. And that's part of being at a small school too, is that they get to break up and they get to go do those other things. But that's what I see as the main difference. That's the main difference.
And I think and I don't know, and I've had high school players tell me when they go to college, and I can't hardly grasp this, that the practices are easier. I just can't grasp that.
I wouldn't say they're easier. I think you're more focused on what you're doing. And to the kid, it's kind of like when you go to college. College kids will tell you the courses are easier. And I don't think it's necessarily that the courses are easier. It's that you're more focused and you're more interested in what you're doing.
I think that's the big thing.
I really do. I think that's what it is.
That's what they mean.
It's a perception thing. I know when I went to college, I thought, man, college practices are great. In high school, we were doing, all this stuff. We're conditioning, running around. I'm playing offense. I'm playing defense. I'm tired. In college, no, I just play this one position. Well, you're focused on that position, and you're conditioning for that position, and that's all you're thinking about, and you're having fun doing it, and so you're more focused on what you're doing, and you're enjoying it because you really want to be there and get good at that one thing, and you're learning more about just that one specific thing.
I get it.
And
now.
So, does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I guess we're going to tell everybody, I wasn't a great student in high school, but it was because I had to learn everything. But when I got to college and figured out what my major was and what I really wanted to do, when I started taking education classes, I'm a 4.0 GPA, and that was important to me because I really enjoy those classes. And so that's where I'm at, So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm taking master's courses now, and and I enjoy those courses, and that's the difference.
Well, I'll leave that now. If you're still taking time, okay, I'm done with this. We're gonna just go on. But that's great. Any difference between coaching high school kids back when you started as compared to now?
Yeah, I think I think there is. I think it used to be
not a trick question.
No, I think it is. I think there really is, and I think it's a good difference, though. I think it's one of those things where before it was just and it was the way I was coached was, this is what you're going to do. I'm just going to tell you how to do it, and there just was no questions asked. Now kids want to know. It's more conceptual. Like, well, why?
Really?
Why do you want me to do this? Well, here's why. And when you can explain it to the kids, and you can sit down, and we teach everything here conceptually. We run inside zone and outside zone, and you see it from all the college teams now. And we brought it here, and we run a lot of the zone stuff, and even our passing game. Everybody A lot of teams still run the old school passing tree, and every route is numbered. We don't do that. Everything's taught conceptually by formation and where you should be at in the passing game. And so our kids are learning concepts and learning to think conceptually. If we change the formation, well, what route would you run then by the concept? So our kids have to understand that. And they ask a lot more why questions, but they ask it so they have better knowledge of what we're doing, and it makes it easier for us to adjust once we get that base into us.
I didn't realize that, because basketball is a sport, if they come down here in this kind of an offense, you've got to adjust the defense, or if they're playing this kind of defense,
Sure.
you've got to do this. And I didn't know if kids could grasp that type of thing you're talking
Sure.
about, but if they ask questions, they're going to a lot better, where if they
Right.
just didn't, well, I don't know.
Right.
And that leads to no success on the field.
Right.
So.
And we feel like that's helped our kids out
Oh,
here a lot.
my goodness.
Because we see multiple people now, just with a lot of the success we've had, we see multiple defensive fronts, just from an off, and I'm just talking offensively right now. From an offensive line standpoint, with all the zone stuff we run, people jump in and out of different defenses, and they try to confuse us and who to block, and they'll jump in and out. I mean, we'll block 4 different fronts on Friday night. That happened last week.
Wow.
But it's great because our kids understand the concepts, and we've got it broken down into simple here's a base rule. Are there 4 down linemen or 3 down linemen? And here's the base rule that goes with it,
Yeah.
and here's the concept. And the kids get it, and they adjust it on the fly, and we watch film, and they'll go, well, this is why I did it. Because I can ask them in film then, well, why did you block it this way? And the center can tell me, Blake Ray was really smart.
What do you
He
think
can
of
tell
that?
me, right, he can tell me, hey,
Wow.
this is why I call it this way. And I can go, okay, that makes sense.
That kind of leads me to my next question, which may have just been answered. It seems like since you've been here, that offensive line has been just superior, especially in 2013. I don't know that I've seen an offensive line much better than that at this level.
We've had some really good kids.
Man.
We've just really good kids that just, the one thing that builds a football program, number one, is the weight room.
Oh, my.
And those kids, the community support that we've had for the weight room has just been tremendous here. If you guys go down and look at it, we've got field turf in our weight room.
Wow.
The weight room's changed 4 different times since I've been here.
Wow.
As far as adding equipment, taking equipment out, we buy something every spring.
They want to come
They
down.
want, yep, and so our kids want to be in the weight room. They use the weight room. I know they don't like the prowler sleds, but they'll do them because they see the results. The offensive lineman in the spring, why did you buy these sleds? Why did the booster club buy these sleds?
Boy.
Well, guys, this is why. And last Friday we had a 19-play drive, and it was fun. I was riding home in the lineman van. I was like, fellas, you remember those prowlers you didn't want to do? You didn't want to push those sleds, and they're like, yeah, those things are horrible. Well, that's why we have them. And they're like, yeah, we get it. We know, coach. So,
Wow.
But those are the kind of things, that they're doing around here. And we've just had a really good run of kids up front, too, that want to commit to that.
And you're not giving away any secrets by saying that. It's just,
No,
it's
it's
just
just-
the way you do it. And if people would listen, and first of all, you have to have the kids, but you can build kids into something that they weren't before. And if they make that dedication, it's weight room, even in basketball, I don't care
Yep.
what it is.
Every sport.
Volleyball,
Yep.
the girls do it. Tell me about your coaching staff. And when you took over,
Well, it's the
where
same
you
coaching
were-
staff.
it's
It's the same
because
staff.
Brent
So-
went down to an
Well,
actually.
yeah. We've just moved. The great thing here is when I first got here, Brent's fantastic. He's phenomenal. If you ever get to, sit and talk to him, he's a great person, number one. And every guy on our staff they're good people. And, one thing I learned when I walked in the door here is the culture is great because of Brent and what he has laid as a foundation. And we've just taken that on as a staff. 6 years ago when I walked in the door, Brent's, you just talk to him, and the number one thing that's going to come out of his mouth all the time is, we're going to do what's right for kids. And it doesn't matter what the situation is, we're going to do what's right for kids. And we kind of just took that on as a coaching staff 6 years ago. We've always done that. We've always kept that in mind here. We're going to do what's right for kids, and no matter what the situation is, and we're going to try to keep, fair is not always equal, equal is not always
That's
fair.
right. Yep.
But we're going to do what's right for kids in the end. And so we've kept that. So even though Brett went to an administrative spot and I moved around and we moved guys around, we've never looked at it. We all have these titles of head coach, assistant coach, all that. It's kind of, when you look at it, when we sit in a meeting, you could walk in here and watch us in our meetings and have no idea who coaches what. It's just one of those things. It's a group of guys getting together, coaching football, putting ideas out there. Hey, this could work well, this could work well. Jordan Connor's our defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He breaks a lot of the defensive film, but when we sat down on those films, everybody has input. Well, I'm the offensive coordinator, but when we sat down on those films, Jason LaValle has a lot of input on what routes we should be running. This is what we should be doing. Jordan Connor, who's the defensive coordinator, is like, hey, this would be really hard against that defense. You could do this, you could do that. Brent's great. Hey, I saw that. If we put the running back here and we move him here and we do this, they're not going to know how to line up to it. And you're like, yeah, okay, great. And we work together as a group. And if we ask that of our kids, then we have to do it as a staff. And that's how we look at it, right?
Yeah.
So it's really good. I mean, from that standpoint. That's just kind of how the staff works here. We don't really look at it as a hierarchy. It's more, there are some final decisions every once in a while that you have to make. But at the same point, it's great to have that experience around, on a Friday night, you don't have to, I don't have to sit there as a head coach and go, all right, how much time's on the clock? When do we call timeout? When do we do this? You have two other guys going, one guy going, hey, the clock's running down, and you got Brent going, hey, if you're going to use the timeout before half, this would be the time, and I can sit there and think about play calls and don't have to worry about it. Yeah, it really works here. It gels.
Well, if the audience out there that's watched this show every week, why is it, now they know why it is that every coach I've interviewed that's successful, which is almost every single one of them, it is every single one, all the coaching staffs are like yours that you're talking about. Everybody has input.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a successful thing. I don't know if that's the way it is in college. I have a feeling maybe not in some instances of the old guys, but that's what leads to success. And so it has not changed since you walked in the door at Doniphan-Trumbull?
No, we've switched. We've just moved positions around by title, but it's not
like a
how we do
permutation.
it. Right.
Yeah, like that, if you know what that is.
They delete a couple letters and put a couple more in, but the way we do things hasn't really
Same
changed.
numbers, different, same names, different, different sequence. But we're going to talk a little bit about your football team, not a whole lot. You don't want to give away any secrets. How's the health?
We're doing well.
Good.
We're doing well. Everybody this time of year is banged up a little bit. You got bumps and bruises here and there. Guys are sore, that kind of stuff. But we're doing a good job of taking care of them. We're doing pretty well.
Since you've had success here, I haven't noticed a ton of injuries. That has to do with conditioning and things like that, or is it just...
Well, knock on wood, some of it goes to luck.
Sure it does.
The other part of it goes to what we do in the off season, the weight room. That's the number one reason you get in and lift weights is to prevent injuries.
Right.
That's the number one overall reason. The second reason, is obviously to improve your athletic performance, but to prevent injuries. You're always going to have little injuries that you can't take care of, but that, and then we feel like we've got some tough kids here. They're just going to battle through that tough.
Boy.
So
that's definitely, and they, back in the Doniphan days, I remember coming over and watching, and there were always tough kids here, but since Doniphan-Trumbull, and especially since you've been here, this is just a tough football team. And we were talking before that when Doniphan-Trumbull beat David City Aquinas in the state finals a couple of years back, Ron Mimick said that might have been one of the toughest teams he's ever played against in his life physically. And for Ron to say that, and I watched the game. Of course, I haven't missed a state final at Memorial Stadium, and I never saw physical domination like that from a team that is so hard and so difficult. Do you think it was the physical strength, or do you think it was just a combination of things? Because that team was never big. They just executed properly. What caused that? Was that team one of the most special teams in Class C2 ever?
That was a group of young men, and first of all, that's a great compliment for him. Because he's a fantastic football coach, and what he's done at Aquinas is just amazing.
Smarter than that.
That group of guys, they were on a mission. They were on a mission. When we got beat in the semifinals the year before down in Sutton, walking off that field, you could see it.
Yep.
They were just on a mission, and they took that, and they got in the weight room, and they pushed hard. And then when they got to the summer, it was like that summer, the harder it got and the harder we made the workouts, the more they pushed. And the hotter it got, the harder they worked.
Cool.
And there was no excuses. And they pushed through a lot of things, and they pushed extremely hard. And they pushed each other as a group. And they were a very, very solid group of men. And they, when we got to that point in the season when we walked off the field at Battle Creek in the semifinal game and the result was different and we knew we were going to Lincoln, you just had a feeling that week. I won't forget it, that Monday coming off the practice field to walk through before we were getting on the bus the next morning to go play, you could just feel it.
Wow.
Those guys were in tune, they were focused, they were loose, but yeah, they were confident and they were ready to go hit. And you could just feel it. It was just one of those things you're like, it's going to be a good day tomorrow, you know. And they were just a great group of guys that played for each other, and they were unselfish. You know, there was a lot of guys on that team that, you know, would have wanted the football maybe 30 times a game.
Oh yeah,
that didn't really care.
Yeah.
They just wanted, at the end of the day, all they wanted to do was win.
Wow,
So,
and that was an amazing football team, and I saw, you know, that year I saw them play it 4 or 5 times. I just had to get over. But they always came back from adversity if something was wrong. But I don't know if there'll ever be another team like that here, but you hope so. I
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
They were special kids, and they could have won a state basketball championship just as easily.
They were very close.
So and it wasn't just a bunch of football players playing basketball. They had skills. So.
Yes, they were very skilled kids.
So tell me about your team in closing. How's your line compared to that 2013 line?
These guys are pretty good.
That's what we
really feel like they're pretty good up front. Like I said, Friday night we had a 19-play drive. We had another drive that was about 12 plays.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were going into the wind and in the first and the third quarter. And it was a tight football game. Southern Valley was a good football team. And it was a tight game. But we just decided in the third quarter coming out of the locker room that we're gonna put it on these 5 guys up front and 6 and we count the tight end, and we just thought, you know what, we're gonna put it on you and we're gonna give it to Shupin in the backfield, and we're either gonna go to the state playoffs this year or we're not, and we kind of let them know, this is what we're gonna do in the second half, and you guys move people and run the zone play the way we run the zone play, or you know, this is what it'll be, and yeah, those guys they took over. And they really, you know, I feel like they're a pretty special group. You know, we talk about that 2013 team and how tight they are, but this group of kids that we have right now, the juniors, the seniors, the sophomores, you know, they're pretty tight knit as well. They fight through a lot, and they you know, talent-wise, we've got some pretty good talent. And these kids, they battle for each other, and it's fun to watch. And they encourage each other. They hold each other accountable.
That's what makes the magic.
Yeah, and they hold each other accountable to a little higher standard, and they're going to fight for each other, and that's something pretty special here. These kids will go to the wall for each other, so it's fun now because they're really excited when they saw the bracket come out and that we were playing at home.
Sure.
That got them going, and then when they saw the bracket come out and where everybody laid at, you know, I haven't heard anything out of them, but we can get this done. We got to get this first one, and then we'll get to the next one. But let's go get the first one.
There you go. Keep one at a time. But you're going to look at the bracket, and you know if it looks good for you or not. But when you have no fears, that creates a good atmosphere for playoff runs.
Absolutely. And the fun thing is these guys were all on the team, you know, a couple of years ago, and they were youngsters. And, you know, that was probably the hardest thing for that group in 13 was to actually believe that you could go to Lincoln and actually win a state title. And for these guys, they've seen it. And now they know that it's possible.
Valuable.
That it could happen.
Yep.
You know, like it's not an impossible. It's not, you know, it's not faith.
No.
They have belief. They've seen it happen before. So they have a belief that it can be done.
Faith and belief are two different
things.
Yeah, and, you know, like I'm going to play in the NFL someday. That's, you know, how far-fetched that is.
Right.
But, in closing, I write a lot about, you know, I don't know how many times Braden Shupin's made my list.
Sure.
And that's unfair. Sure. I want you to name from left to right your offensive linemen to give those guys some kudos, because Zach knows it. Zach may be behind the camera, and I know it. I was a pretty good running back in high school. You know, we had leather helmets and no fence. But those are the guys. Without them, you know, you don't go anywhere, and everybody knows that. But I'd like you to give them just a little bit of love here.
Our left tackle is Kyler Kroger. He's a junior, and then Dalton Lewis is our left guard. Blake Rainforth, I call him the brains of the operation, but he's really our, you know, he's the tip of the spear for us. He gets things going in the middle at center. Jack Haydenfeld is our right guard. He's really come along as a football player. And then our right tackle, I can't say enough about him. He's come back from injury. He's been a road grader for us. It's Trey Sterner.
Yeah.
And then we've got 3 tight ends that have been playing really well too in there.
3?
Brett Johnson, and he rotates in with Zach Christensen, and then Jake Egner. They've played really well. And then we have a backup offensive lineman that, you know, was a starter for us, you know, 2 years ago and then got hurt. Would have been on that state title team, got hurt now for the season, and has rotated on the offensive line for us. But Skylar Jenkins is another kid. That group of 8 or 10 kids, they've been phenomenal for us up front.
So you have a little bit of depth even.
We do have a little bit of depth there. So
that's kind of scary when you get into the
playoffs. Well, feels good. It feels good. So.
Well, I want to thank Coach Head, because this is a very interesting conversation, because Doniphan-Trumbull, when they beat North Platte St. Pat's, I don't know what year it was in the playoffs, I knew this was a good football program, because I really respected that program out there. And they got hit pretty good when they came yonder there, or that way, I guess, and that made me a believer in Cardinal football here. Well, even wore the right shoes. So I want to wish you the best of luck. Friday night, Atkinson West Hope comes to Doniphan-Trumbull. Kickoff's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and that'll be in the first round of the Class C2 playoffs. And if you win, Battle Creek might be awaiting after that.
Yep.
So
it sounds like
take
it.
them one at a time. You know,
Right.
Nobody knows what's going to happen, but it sounds like Doniphan-Trumbull and Coach Had have a lot of confidence, and we wish them the best of the luck in the Class C2 playoffs, and maybe another trip to Lincoln, but take them one at a time. So
Okay. We appreciate it.
thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
here, Coach. And so until next time, Zach Mayhew behind the camera for him. This is Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy on End Zone online for the Independent.com.